everybody, it's Wednesday, which means it's Radiance Live Day. And today we're gonna do peels. We're gonna do peel away the aging, peel away the sun damage. So while we're getting set up to do Desiree's peels on 2 different people, we'll get everybody settled, get everybody post your friends, text your friends, tell them to get on, watch our Facebook Live segment, talk about a couple of things. If anybody has any questions, you can ask them now. I'm going to try to read this monitor and see if I can answer your questions. I'm also going to have a couple of giveaways. We'll have a couple at the end, so if you stay tuned. This morning I float a lot of times our wonderful float pod. I do that a lot of times before work. This morning I did a new program. Well, it's actually a program I've done before called Brain Gym. It's supposed to make you, like exercise your brain, make you more creative. So usually when I'm in the pod, I relax and I'll sometimes even fall asleep. But this morning, I think I was so creative. I was kind of antsy. I wanted to get out and write everything down because I had all these great ideas. And I was thinking, what do I need in there to be able to write things down? I guess I needed like a waterproof pen or maybe a waterproof recorder. So I was kind of anxious to get out and write down some ideas because you always think you're going to forget them, which I did. I got out of the pod and I forgot everything I was trying to remember. But I did remember one thing. I wanted to do like a friends deal for the peels, so I'm going to talk about that at the end. But I was going to give away a float. So the first person to call us, 8040772, will win a free float. And it's amazing. If you think you'll like it, you'll love it. If you don't think you'll like it, you'll probably still love it. So, no questions yet. We're going to, talk about Friends Day. I was going to say friends because we have 2 people getting peels. And we're going to do totally different peels. So we're going to do a really light peel, and then we're going to do a really deep peel for different reasons. Light on somebody who doesn't have very many skin issues, really young person with no wrinkles, and somebody who maybe has a little more sun damage, which we want to get a little bit deeper. So we're still going to give you a chance to get all your friends on. What else was I going to talk about? Next week, I can tell you what we're going to do next week, and I'll tell you again at the end, give it a little bit more time. Next week, we're going to do our Vela shape. So what would you say if I said you could really reduce your cellulite in 30 minutes every other week? I mean, that's half a lunchtime. You say, I'm going to do it. And as little as 3 times. And maybe maintenance, maybe once a month, you would do that. So we have a Vela Shape 3, which is the only one in San Antonio at this time. They start with 1, 2, 3. 3 is the latest model. It only takes 30 minutes for one area. So you can actually reduce inches and you can reduce cellulite. And I think it works amazing. So let's see, Desiree let's see what she's doing over here. She's first cleansing the skin.
Got Miss Cat already nice and cleansed.
Okay.
She's drying right now, and now I'm getting all of this makeup out of the crevices. I'm using a SkinMedica facial cleanser to break down all of the oils in the makeup. So the solutions that we put on can penetrate the skin nice.
So, Kat, are you awake?
I am. Hi.
She's getting a nice lunchtime peel here. I guess I call one of them kind of lunchtime, and Kat is cleansed. So that's the first step. Obviously, getting the skin clean.
Would you hand me my box of gloves? It's in the glove holder there, but I'm going to change a couple of times because I'm going to kind of go back and forth. It's really imperative to make sure you wait in between the application of the different acids to make sure that they've penetrated and see how your client is reacting to the different acids. Perfect. So Kat doesn't have many wrinkles, doesn't have acne, has a few small blemishes like color, and her pores look like they have a little bit of depth to them. This peel is going to help to make the skin look more taut and bright and overall just make it look a little bit shiny. Kat's getting ready to go to an event this weekend, and this is the perfect peel because it's not going to give her a physical shed, meaning she's not going to see flaking or peeling or look dry. She's going to look nice and fresh and taut. We're going to start the peel by prepping the skin. After we've removed all of the dirt and the makeup from the skin, we're going to further prep it by degreasing the skin with a combination of alcohol and acetone to degrease it. And Kat has a small fan. If the fumes get too overwhelming close to the nose, you can turn that on. So we'll just make small sweeps here to prep the skin.
Hi Andrea, hi Ray Ray. Try to catch everybody's on. Hi Ron. I just messed up Bree's laptop, so she's gonna fix it so I can see everybody that's joining.
Have your fan for a minute, and I'm gonna use it to direct the alcohol smell away from your skin. Sorry about that. You're fine. The smell is really strong.
I actually love the smell of these peels. It's sick, isn't it? The camera needs focusing. Is it blurry?
Okay, I'm gonna put this right back down by your arm.
Okay.
I'm also going to apply a little bit of barrier cream. What's important to make sure before you apply something like this is that your client has not recently had any type of procedure such as waxing, heavy exfoliation like microdermabrasion, the use of retinol, different, some acne products like salicylic acid. Most of the products that we put on contain blends of salicylic and lactic, so we don't want to do additional chemical exfoliation if you're used to using something like that. So we want to hit in the areas where you potentially could dry out a little bit more, like the lateral canthus next to the eye and around the nares, where you, especially if you have allergies, where you may blow your nose frequently. Just put a little bit of petroleum jelly, just keep it nice and hydrated. Another important message is ask the client if they have any kind of herpetic lesion, that they are prone to getting any kind of herpes simplex, and if that is the case, you want to prophylactically treat before. Kat hasn't ever had anything like that, so we just want to protect and make sure that her blood barrier, her border, doesn't dry out too much.
We got a question, Desiree.
Let me know, please.
Let me see.
What are the differences between the two peels?
The great question. The Illuminize peel, there's 3 different types of peels from the SkinMedica line: Illuminize, Vitalize, and Rejuvenize. And they kind of step up in intensity as you go up. The Illuminize is the baby of the group, but it's very powerful because it can be used for an event the next day. It can get you ready, make your skin look nice and tight, and the pores refreshed without having the loss of skin. The Vitalize and the Rejuvenize are going to be a deeper penetration and more acid blend, so it's going to actually remove the skin. It's going to be a chemical exfoliation that is going to promote the skin to leave, the epidermis.
So also we have a question is, can they go in the sun after the peel?
Well, after any peel, you don't want to go in the sun, but the proper answer to that would be to make sure that you protect yourself. Make sure you absolutely have to wear a sunscreen. A hat is imperative after something like this, especially while you're in the peeling stage, because you essentially have brand new skin, and that's like burning on top of a burn, essentially, before you've recreated your epidermis, because we've just shed the entire thing. So can you escape the sun in Texas? No, but you absolutely just want to make sure that you've got a 30 SPF, a hat to cover, and you don't want to permit yourself to stay in the sun for an extended amount of time.
So how much do the 2 peels cost?
The great question. The Illuminize is $100 to get ready for your event, and the Rejuvenize is $225. And the sister of these two, I'm going to start with the swipes, Kat.
Okay.
The sister of the two, the Vitalize in the middle, is $150. So with this one, you're not going to see the peeling. I started applying a couple of swipes to the forehead. Kat will start to experience a little bit of tingling, and this is a self-neutralizing peel, meaning that it is going to stop stinging in about 2 to 3 minutes. How's it feel, Kat?
Feels good so far. No stinging.
Any heat?
No, ma'am.
Good.
Yeah, so we kind of call this a beginner peel. It's pretty much good for
I could turn the fan
everybody.
on for the fumes.
Absolutely. This is going to be the peel to get you ready for the event. Now the Vitalize peel, the next step up, which is the one in between that we won't be demoing today, is the one where you are going to typically have about 3 days before you start peeling and your end result at 5 to 7 days from the time the peel was applied. The Rejuvenize, on the other hand, is going to start at about the same amount of time. About the third day, you'll start to peel, and your final result is typically about 10 days. It's penetrating a little bit deeper and promoting a little bit more cell turnover, so you have an extended amount of downtime. I'm going to put a little bit more back on where these areas have already dried, and I'm going to step over to Melanie and start preparing her skin for some of the application. Hers will require an additional step because it contains retinol, whereas Kat's that we're currently putting on does not. That is the last step to the Illuminize peel.
And so what is tell us about the retinol?
The retinol is the portion that is going to promote the skin to turn over and exfoliate a little bit more on Melanie's. Now for Melanie, the Rejuvenize peel is something that is going to target some of the deeper rhytides around here, the texture of the chin, and promote more turnover here on the neck so we can get a smoother outcome.
And so the rhytides are the wrinkles.
Wrinkles. Sorry.
That's okay.
We're starting
the
with
word
the same
rhytide
process.
anyway.
I've already cleansed the skin of the makeup, and now the same process of degreasing. I'm going to use quite a bit here, so let me grab this fan. Finally figured out how to turn this fan.
Yeah, that's a
on.
funny fan. Very sophisticated. The reviews on Amazon have all kinds of
This is
details about how to turn it on.
a peel that Melanie has had before, and I know that her skin is very conditioned to peeling because she's had them before. So I'm going to show you additional steps for the Rejuvenize peel that we wouldn't do with somebody who is starting out. You typically will start with one layer, wait about 4 minutes, apply one if there's no frosting, which is our clinical endpoint, which is a little bit of white, it almost looks frosty to the skin. But with Melanie, I know that her skin is tough, and it takes a lot of the acid to penetrate to turn over her cells. So we'll do 2. And what we're targeting here is just the epidermis of the skin. The very top layer, we want to get that off so the skin looks nice and fresh and tight. This peel itself has lactic and salicylic acid for helping to dry out the skin and turn it over, but it also has a product called resorcinol, and resorcinol targets the pigment in the skin to help with the tone and evening out the colors in the skin. Although it helps with pigmentation, you do want to pre-treat for something this deep, especially if you have a skin type 4 or up. You want to make sure that you've treated with a product like SkinMedica's Lightira for approximately a month, and that's basically just to ensure that you've turned off the melanocytes, the cells that turn dark, so they're not prone to get darker if you peel off the skin and then go out to that soccer game you've been waiting to go to and get a nice burn on top of the chemical exfoliation I've already given you. Then that's where you could get into some hyperpigmentation issues. But as long as you've pre-treated with something that suppresses the pigment from coming out, we should have less likelihood of anything like that happening.
So have you seen that where somebody comes in and they've gotten a peel and nobody pre-treated them?
Absolutely, and it's, although it doesn't have to be done, that's where you can really omit having any kind of issues with the chemical peel. And it helps your skin look better through the process of the peeling.
How do you wash your face when it's peeling?
Very gently. You don't scrub it. You don't want to promote the skin to come off with your washing motion. You absolutely want to let the skin come off on its own, although it is tempting to peel it off in sheets. That's a sign that your skin is not ready to peel off, especially if it's pink underneath. You want to make sure that the skin comes off on its own. That's a very good question because I know I'm guilty of that.
So am I.
Yeah, and what I do is I just wash it a bunch of times a day because sometimes it's irritating, all that little dead skin on your face, and if you just keep washing it, it seems like it makes it more bearable, but it sure feels good when it's all that new skin. And you have those little sponges are good too to wash your face with because they're real gentle. How's it feel, Melanie?
That was just the acetone. I'll let you direct the
I
fan.
will. That's what I'll do.
This one will be
That's just the acetone. I'm like, that kind of burns.
We haven't even
sometimes
started
it's
yet.
I don't feel anything.
Well, because yeah, it's that. Like it's just the acetone to me that my face is dry. Even the acetone will burn.
A little heavier here.
So what layer is this?
This is the actual Rejuvenize peel.
Okay.
So this is the salicylic, lactic, and resorcinol blend. You want to wait about 4 minutes in between the applications of the different layers just to make sure that there's no frosting, not a whole lot.
And what does the frosting mean?
Frosting is the clinical endpoint when the penetration has reached the full length or full depth of the epidermis, and we know that we don't need to.
So
apply
basically, her
anymore.
skin will tell you when she's done.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Here I've got a picture. We might zoom in a little bit. We've got the different layers of the skin, and we are targeting the very top layer, the epidermis. The epidermis includes skin cells that are mostly dead, and then some still alive at the very edge of the dermis-epidermis junction. We're targeting getting those off so we have all fresh skin.
There's a little tingle.
Little tingle. That's Melanie for you.
And with the frosting, it'll look just like it kind of sounds, like frosting, kind of like on a cake, kind of swirly and white, like a, kind of like snow.
And you
We
can
don't
take this
see-
all down to her chest if you wanted to, and to her neck.
Like any of that right now.
Mm-mm.
The vials for the Illuminize, Vitalize, and Rejuvenize are already pre-dosed. This vial is usually, for somebody who is going to require 2 layers of the solution, is usually enough for the face. If we're going to do just one application, we could go all the way down.
Okay, somebody a little more sensitive that it would frost on the first time.
Probably you could do face, neck, maybe even chest.
So if they want it all, we might do 2.
And if it's their first time to have the Rejuvenize, you absolutely want to start with 1 layer, even if they're handling it well, because you don't know how they're going to respond once you put the retinol on.
right,
The
'cause you still have
retinol is
that.
the last step, and that step is going to promote a lot more of the exfoliation. We're almost done on the minutes here before we want to apply another layer. How you doing, Kat?
I'm doing okay.
She's got a little bit of erythema, redness here on
She sure does.
the cheek. Our next step is going to be to remove the balm. I'm going to put a little bit of sunscreen on. You can even put a tinted so you can't see any of the redness, and Kat's going to be ready to go. How does it feel tight?
It feels a little bit tight, especially in the cheek area. That's where
yeah,
it
that's where
feels
you have
tight.
the redness too.
Does it feel hot?
Not hot. Maybe like a little tingle. Other than that, not bad at all. It's very tolerable.
Good. Okay, let's put this other layer of the Rejuvenize on Melanie. How does yours feel, Melanie?
I just feel a little bit of tingling.
This peel is not to be used within the orbit of the eye, but as long as I pull it down a little bit, I do try to get as close as I can because it helps with those little fine lines under the eye. You just want to
Those
make
ones
sure that they
big.
keep their eye closed when you do that because those fumes can be kind of strong. The acid will spread out once it gets into the skin, so that's why you don't want to go too far past the borders of the orbit of the bone. After you finish a peel like this, you're going to see when I put the next layer on that the skin will come a yellowish color, like a jaundice look. That is a look that you want to keep on for about 5 hours after the peel. Typically, if I put a peel on midday, I'll tell everybody, put your sunscreen on afterwards. You can apply your makeup to kind of diminish the hue of the retinol layer, but you want to probably wash it that night. After you've had
So that was the
peel.
retinol?
That was the last layer of the Rejuvenize because I did 2, and now we're going to put on the retinol layer.
Oh, okay.
Hi, Lisa. Thanks for joining.
It's pretty dry, especially with the fan. It does quick.
If you zoom in right here, you can see a little line. That's a little bit of frosting, and that's what we want. After that second layer, that's that clinical endpoint. So if I did have solution left over, which I did a tiny, tiny bit, not enough to do another full layer, but if I wanted to and there wasn't any frosting, I could go ahead, pending the patient had already had something like this and we knew that they could tolerate it. We could do a third layer, but once I see that kind of frosting, no more layers.
Someone asked, if I get a peel, can the doc hold the fan for me too?
Oh, yes,
We'll
by
schedule
special
it that way.
request. For sure.
My how things have changed.
Yes, that's
Okay.
my retirement plan.
Yeah.
To come in and just talk. You can see this yellow that this last layer brings out.
It's better than we used to do the blue that looked like a Smurf.
Oh yeah,
The blue peel.
I'm sure Melanie does.
She does.
And I think we're fixing to get some more frosting because this will really hurt the cells to turn over. So after Melanie has this, she'll wash her skin tonight with just a warm water, no exfoliation, no drying products like salicylic acid or retinol. You absolutely don't want to use anything like that. Afterwards, she'll put on a light moisturizer just to help keep the hydration base there. But the next day, she'll wake up, wash, apply moisturizer, and put on her sunscreen. And about the third day is when she'll start to see dryness and a little bit of breaking in the skin around the mouth.
Yeah, so the general rule is you'll peel in 3 days and then for 3 days with the Vitalize. This one probably peel more than 3 days.
Yes.
So you can kind of plan, like if you get your peel on a Wednesday, you'll peel on the weekend. But you'll kind of look kind of dry and
Hi, Charlie.
breaky for a few days. Because it kind of, your face looks a little older till it looks better because of the dryness. But if you just moisturize a lot, you can kind of cover that. How's it feeling?
A procedure like this usually takes about 15 to 30 minutes depending on how you tolerate it, how many questions you have. Again, what type of peel we're doing, because as you can see, Kat's already finished and Melanie still has at least one layer to go of her retinol portion.
It's pretty hot, pretty stingy. No?
There's a
Little
tiny
bit?
bit of
Okay, so
sting.
not bad at all.
Yeah.
Good.
I personally describe it as itching. I feel like I want to itch my
Really?
skin when I have the peel on for about 4 minutes until it neutralizes, and then it's okay. I like putting the sunscreen on. It feels good to
It feels
touch it
good.
afterwards. Yes, because it feels like you want to itch it. But that goes away really quickly.
Cat's still a little rosy red. She's getting kind of rosy red. She's pretty sensitive though. Not everybody gets quite that red for Illuminize.
These peels can be performed every 4 to 6 weeks. I've got some photos here of the Vitalize peel that we didn't demo today and the Rejuvenize peel. Some before and afters of a few peels. Again, the Rejuvenize is a peel that's going to target color as well. So you can see here some of the pigmentation has been minimally cleaned up. Using a lightener like the Lightera and or hydroquinone or Nouvelle Plus, one of those, they're going to further help to inhibit the pigment from coming out. But these are used in usually in a series to get your maximum result. I know something that I liked when I started, I wasn't sure how my skin was going to tolerate chemical peels, so I did one of each, and as I worked up, my skin was prepared enough to go to that next level, and it really looked nice at the end. Okay, let's go ahead and put another layer here.
And if you're used to using retinols or Retin-A a lot, then you're probably more likely to start with the higher peel. Because if you were to use Illuminize, Illuminize you usually don't peel anyway, but if you were to use Vitalize, like me, I used retinol for 20 years, Retin-A. And so they would put this one on and I barely peel without the extra bump up. So it just depends on your products. Plus, you want to avoid your Retin-A or retinol for a few days before the peel.
About 3 to 4
3
days,
to 4
and
days.
you absolutely want to avoid using it
After.
or regaining the use of it until you're not dry anymore.
Right. But going back to your lightener, like your Lightera, pretty quickly used to
About day 4.
About day 4, okay, to avoid your
The
hyperpigmentation.
Lightier used to have a retinol
Right.
component to it that would keep you kind of irritated and make you dry. It does not have that anymore. The Lightier 2.0 is strictly cleaning up pigment and inhibiting pigment. So we want to start that as soon as we can, as soon as the skin's not tender. Usually about day 4, we can start something like that. Very good.
Looks good.
The solutions that we use in all of these peels are so slippery, and you don't have to stretch the skin or pull it to get the acid to go in. It penetrates and spreads out nicely. Even up here, we're not going to go in the eyelid because this product will spread out just a little bit once it penetrates and goes under the skin. Kind of like when you apply your retinol, you don't put it all over the eyelid, but just applying it around the orbit will allow it to penetrate and kind of spread in and get you a little exfoliation on the eyelid.
Yeah, it took me a while to learn that. Even with my eye cream, I didn't have to put it all the way up, and that's when it gets in your eyes. If you put it there, it'll just kind of go up. So that's hers, huh?
That's it.
And then they're going to just be dry. and get some
Completion. I'm going to use a
sunscreen.
little gauze to remove some of this
Do you want to hold this?
barrier.
Or you need it?
Nah.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Well, just in
It's,
case.
it's just
It's just a little burning. A little burning.
Yeah.
Let me go behind you here, Breeze, at all the questions. So, thanks everybody for joining us. So, I'll tell you again about, well, first of all, let me tell you, we have a couple of specials. Well, like we said, we have a friends thing going on here. Bring your friend. So, if you bring your friend, call in by the end of the week, and you bring your friend, and if your friend gets a peel, you get a free peel. Or you could both pay 50%, right? That's kind of the same thing. And we just have to judge. You could get any of these 3 peels, but we kind of like to talk to you about which one would be best for your skin, but it applies to all 3 of those SkinMedica peels. So it's basically a friend's deal, and that will go on actually to, today is what, the 20-something.
21st.
So let's say to the end of the month, we're gonna do that. Just mention this video. And like they say, friends don't let friends have bad skin, something like that. Also, we're going to give away 1 of each of these peels free, so be the first person to call and book today. It needs to be appropriate for your skin, so if you can't handle too much, it's going to be the Vitalize. 1 Illuminize, 1 Vitalize, 1 Rejuvenize. So call 804-0772. So that's our specials and our giveaways. So next week we're going to do Vela Shape. Like I said, Vela Shape, Vela 3. It's infrared radio frequency. It's not really a laser, but it's a modality that treats cellulite. It's not permanent, but it does a really good job. We're the only ones in San Antonio to have the Vela 3, which is the 3rd generation. And what's so cool about it is it's a 30-minute treatment for an area, so say like both front of thighs or both outer thighs. It takes about 30 minutes, and you only have to do it every other week. And that's amazing. It's about 3 treatments depending on how severe it is. So if you're getting ready to go to the beach, ready to go on a vacation like a cruise, 3 weeks, well actually 6 weeks. But if you're in a hurry, you could do every week. We like to do every other week. So it only takes 30 minutes, half of your lunch hour, and you're gonna improve the cellulite. In addition to that, it actually can take off inches. So we can do circumferential reduction and cellulite in the same treatment. That makes it about an hour treatment for an area, but it's amazing. So it's a great step up from our other one where we used to have Vela 2 and it would take a full hour for the treatment. And it really works, and I love it. So we're gonna demo that next week. It'll be next Wednesday at 1 o'clock. So join us and share it with all your friends. Hit the follow button so you don't miss us. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye.